we are recording. So we're back at it, man. This is the first time, man. So welcome back to Arbitrary Conversations. Of
Yes.
course, that's just one half of the Hilltop Glove. Skip, myself, and DJ and what. So it's good to be back,
Yes.
obviously. And I guess the main thing, man, I gotta ask, man, is why have we been waiting so long to record?
Man, I don't know. Busy, man. Being busy doing life stuff.
Mm,
I
that's
will say this. I know the summer was like a summer this year. We had the Olympics and stuff like
yeah,
that. I mean, you had the things going on politically and whatnot getting into the fall, but you actually had a real summer for the first time
yeah,
really since the pandemic, where people were outside doing things. Like they were people were outside busy, living life and enjoying themselves, which is a good thing. I'm happy about that. But like I know there's some cats that listen to and stuff where they say, "Man." Pardon my language, but when the niggatry gets going, that's when we get some stuff to talk about. So I will say right now, I don't know what happened going into the fall, but the niggatry has started to go. It started moving
oh yeah,
quickly, and just some things that had occurred that we actually started talking about when we were first doing arbitrary conversations, and a lot of conversation to build on when it comes to growth and maturity and being an adult, but also with the culture that we grew up watching and seeing and being a part of, and seeing how it
yeah,
has now changed, specifically since it hit the 50-year mark.
yeah,
Watching how those people who were the influencers at that time, how they're still either a part of the culture or no
yeah,
longer a part of the culture, or how to say shepherds of the culture, or whatever it is they're doing,
yeah.
how they're using their influence for either good or bad, the pros and cons behind it. Just thinking about those types of things, I think, has been a interesting task, and this is the stuff that we've been talking about behind the scenes that has affected how some of that stuff is actually looking now. And most recently, there have been some pretty big occurrences. I'll let you take it from
Facts,
here,
facts.
Skip. I'll let you take it from here.
Man, so first and foremost, you see the background behind me. Pardon the crib. So, we got a 4-year-old just be
Yep.
running mad with that. And then plus my wife be buying all kinds of things too. So we always got things moving in transition. So last week, my wife had COVID. So she was on
Hmm.
lockdown all week.
Yep.
And of course, you know.
Yep.
And so pretty much a single dad in it and stuff. And the funny thing about it was right after like right towards the end of the week, that's when she wants to go out to Best Buy and buy like all these air humidifier, like these air cleaners. So she bought like 4 of these things. She said, I need you to go pick up an order for me from Best Buy. I was like, okay, I look. And she gave me the little receipt, the little digital receipt.
Yeah.
They were like $700. I was like, what you getting? Right.
Oh
And then I
gosh.
go and look. And so then I go look, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, she ordered 4 air purifiers. And these got
Golly.
these air purifiers sitting in the corner. And like I got 2 of them. There's 2 of them right here. And I was telling her, I was like, you can't keep all these air. You got to bring them back to you got to
You
bring them
gotta
back to
bring it
Best Buy.
back. Yeah.
You got to bring them back, right?
How many
And
square
so
feet does one of them things do? Like,
and that's what I thought. She was like, oh, I need one in one room, one in another, one in another, one in another, right? And
mm-mm.
I was just like, oh my gosh, we can't do this. We can't do
No,
this.
it
We
ain't
can't
for
have
that. That
this.
ain't how it works.
So that's what that is. And
Mhm.
then, like I said, I just realized just with where we record, because I want us to start back recording, at least us doing arbitrary conversations once a week. I
Mhm.
think it's always good, like I said, talk to my brother, one of my best friends and stuff,
Yeah.
and talk about just some of the stuff that's going on in the day, just getting
Mhm.
our perspective on it. I always thought it was cool. And that just gives us something else to offer to on top of Hilltop Glove. I'm still really trying to figure out whether or not this is going to be behind a paywall or not, because I'm thinking we might do this a little different style too.
Yeah.
Even we might move this from behind a paywall because I really just want people, like I said, just check it out and see the other things that we do too and talk about,
Mhm.
along with just like the general podcast as well. Of
Plus, it's
course,
real. It's real middle of the road conversation in the sense of like we aren't. What's the word? We aren't sectarianist. We don't.
yeah,
We ain't wild people. We don't run to one side or the other. It's
no,
very
no,
rational conversation. This was so funny because I think that was I think it was hilarious when we were riding back from helping out in the country, and Lisa's mom, she was just like, "Man, I just like listening to how y'all were talking to each other, how y'all having conversations as brothers, and y'all were just y'all were just working things out and
hmm
figuring things together because that's what it is a lot of times. It's just bouncing ideas off to try to figure out what is actually happening, and what is not, so you can understand reality better. And it does help when you have folks who are like-minded and cognitive of what is going on. So that's what a lot of these
Yeah,
conversations are. Just bouncing this stuff off each other's heads so we can figure out what's happening out here. This place crazy. This place wild. Like
yeah, man.
this past 2 weeks, crazy.
Man, so and that's what we're really here to talk about.
Yeah, man. This past 2 weeks has been too much, man. It's been too much. They need to relax.
So, man, and that's like you said, we're gonna talk about Diddy, but we're not gonna talk about it in the way a lot of other people
Mm-mm.
might talk about it because, like I said, you're gonna get your fun, you're gonna get your entertainment from them.
Yep.
I don't want you to be
That's, yeah.
entertained. Like we
Go
want
go
you
over
to
there and get
be.
the entertainment. They
There's
got
nothing
it.
wrong
They
with
got
that.
it.
That's
Yeah.
cool. And we want you to, like I said, listen to us and want you to at least get some type of
Mm-hmm.
entertainment out of what
Mm-hmm.
we're saying. But we really just want you to really pay attention to at least what the message that we felt like we got from it, from
Mm-hmm.
what happened, and just everything else is going on within the world at this time. And I always look at like hip hop culture as being a microcosm of what's happening in society and all it's doing either through like direct actions activity through like work like music through the culture itself
Mm-hmm.
or just things that are associated with the culture, whether or not we consider it an official part of the culture or directly associated with the elements of it or just in general, right? Because, there's a big thing about that too. There's a lot of things because industry isn't necessarily associated with the elements, right?
Nah, it's not.
So we got to be honest with it from that sense. And so one of the things that I realized was that, especially with 50 years, and we talked about this, like when you turn 50, like anything turns 50, it's like, it's kind of not that you're going downhill, but it's like a certain level of maturity
That you're expected
that's
to
supposed
have.
to come, introspective that comes with it, especially when you get to that part of your life. At least that's what it seems like for a lot of, like to me, when it comes to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last year you saw a lot of people, like a lot of introspection on the culture itself, like how the culture has benefited certain people within the community, how it has negatively impacted other parts of the community,
Mm-hmm.
and just whether or not the work that was done or the trails that were set, those were all done, met, those were all done in good faith,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think last year you really started, and I was telling people this all the time, it's like you start to see that shift in the way people thought about the culture and we thought about those people or those ideas, those themes that we held in high regard, especially not necessarily from back in the day, but just what was been going on contemporary, just
Yeah,
within the
it wasn't
industry and in
even.
the
Yeah,
business
not even
itself.
like going back too far. We were teasing about the other day. People forget. '90s ain't 20 years ago. 20 years ago no more.
No, it
It's
isn't.
it's it's actually now 30 years ago.
Yeah,
'80s is 40 years ago. '70s is 50. Like we're getting like
yeah.
we're dating now. We're dating. So yeah.
And I think that's the main thing. And that's one of the things I realized, like when you were talking about this earlier today, just the situation with Diddy, like there's always been rumors about some of his shady dealings and things that he has going on. And you always had like these YouTube videos and these rabbit down the hole vid things, right? And I think a lot of it was going on is a bigger thing. And I always try to explain this to people too, because
Mhm.
me, I watch a lot. Like
You get information.
I check
Yeah,
out a lot of content. I check
exactly.
out tons of content all the time,
Hmm.
just with the our pod, but then just with other content I might help produce, and then just me just learning about different things. And one of the ththings I realized was I was like, there's like for the past couple of years or so, especially I would say probably starting around like 2000. It originally started probably around like 2007 and 2008 when YouTube really started to get going
Good point. Yeah, yeah.
was you had like this undercurrent of like that was the whole Illuminati thing was really big, right? That's when the hip hop Illuminati thing was really
Hmm.
big. And then you had like everybody in the industry was gay,
Yep.
right? And you had all those things that kind of came like a little afterwards, like around like the 2010s.
Hmm.
But people were still trying. There was still a lot of people that were trying to catch up on the Illuminati thing, right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying that's true or anything like that. I'm just giving just
This is what
overall
was
picture of like
occurring.
where this
Yeah,
how
this is
all this stuff
occurring.
started.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I remember there was even like an episode of the Cleveland Show where they made a joke of it.
Yeah,
Like
I remember
Cleveland,
this.
you remember,
I
right?
remember
Right?
this. No, this is for real.
Because it
Yeah.
was Bruno Mars and Nicki
Yep.
Minaj. Who else? It was not kind, but Kenny West.
Kenny West.
Kenny
This is
West.
before. Like you got to think about that too, Kevin. Yeah, yeah, they were.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. This is like their 2010, 2011,
yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, and what people don't get, what's happening right now are just the roots of those things,
Mm-hmm.
because you've always had rumors in the industry in general, but you never had social media that
No.
could allow open up the platform for people to talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
It could share things, and then those things could be saved, and they could just disperse across the area.
You
Because
had like
even years ago,
one to three different voices. That was it.
yeah,
One to
and
three.
this is somebody, and there's one person who used to talk about this for years, even before all this stuff was even fashionable. But that was Wendy Williams, was somebody who talked about a lot of these things, right?
Good point.
But this is before social
Social
media,
media. You still
right?
had
This is a different
newsprint.
time.
Yeah,
Right?
journal.
And you
Yeah,
still
and
had
radio.
and you still had to have gatekeepers that prevented people from being able to share messages in a large setting.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have that. Anybody can get on the mic and talk, just like us.
Yep,
And
unfiltered.
so, but that started changing once YouTube started coming along, and you start being able to do long form content. You start seeing all these videos, right? And it started, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, with the hip hop Illuminati videos, like you said, where they're talking about like Jay-Z, Beyonce, all of them, right? And just everybody who was making money and prominent, and then they all had devil signs, right? And I'm not saying this to be, I'm just trying
Like
to
you being
be
jokey,
as
man. You being
straight,
jokey.
I'm just being straightforward, right? Because I'm not saying, because real things are happening to people, real people really getting harmed,
Yeah,
right?
there's things.
But
Yeah.
that's how it started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, we watch these things, we check stuff out, okay. And for us, we always just watch, and we talk about this all the time. A lot of stuff we see on YouTube, it was mainly like we watch it, but it was like we just never took it. It was just more like entertainment. We
Entertainment.
never like
Yeah.
took it for. It was just like, even with your. I remember we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Just like with all the wild stuff that was going on with Infowars,
Yeah.
and what's the guy's name from Infowars?
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. I remember we were looking. I remember when all that stuff first started, right? Because it's
Yeah.
all around the same time,
Yeah.
right? But
Exactly.
we never delved into it and took
Never took
stuff
it
from it
anywhere.
in the
Yeah.
real world, right?
It was
But
like you said, it was
okay,
like
this is
weekly
basically
world news. That's how we treated it. Like
yeah,
weekly world
that's how we
news.
looked at it, like
Mm-hmm.
that, like coast to coast AM and all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward, you're seeing all these things going on, and of course you have rumblings of what people are doing, but it's very different now versus what it might have been back in the 90s, right?
True.
You didn't like, you could have rumblings in the industry, but you could never get out and really tell anybody outside of that circle that would go out and spread information to the mass audience, like to the mass public,
Not with
right?
any validity.
Not with any
No.
validity, right?
No.
And so what was happening was you started seeing, especially after the mid 2010s, this is really when it started going. You would see these different people, insiders within the industry, that were sharing these stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they had outlets that were being developed to where they could share these stories. And this is whether or not you consider people like culture vultures or not. That's when you think about people like Vlad and
Mm-hmm.
those folks get started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you got these people sitting down talking with them, and they're talking about all the things that are happening in the industry, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is what happened. People don't know about this. I was involved with this,
You
and people have
had
done things
you
with
had
information.
us.
So,
We were doing it too. I mean,
yeah,
choke no
right.
joke. You have
Yep.
Forbes DVDs. Like we had our
Yep.
people too. So
Yeah.
I hate when people say, "Oh, it's just like
Yep.
nah, it was us too. We had our people."
Yeah, and that's it. And the only difference was at the time we were still trying to make the transition over to
Digital. Yeah.
social media. Because remember, this stuff used to happen on these DVDs all the time.
Yep.
Back in
Yep.
the day, people be sharing all these things and stuff, and these
Yep.
DVDs would get passed around underneath.
You.
But what was
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Know about them DVDs, them city
yeah,
DVDs.
man.
Yeah, them things is real.
Yeah, man, and it go around little cities and stuff, and
Yeah.
and it was weird how you find them, because like you find these things through like the most random people that you knew, right? And they'd had a DVD. You be seeing
Sam.
stuff you should have not seen on DVDs. Yeah, wow, man, shout out, man, that's people
The
though,
hardest
man.
working man.
So,
Hardest working
yeah,
man. Nah, that's
but
for
yeah, but
real.
like
He
you said,
knows. He knows.
but
Like I was like, yo, these people really do this stuff and put this like record it. Yeah,
yeah,
put it on DVD, sell it
because
around because we
because
didn't have.
and I'm glad we're talking about this, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the story of, because you got a lot of people who are tuning into this stuff who, be honest with you, they really just started tuning in probably around 2020 when
Yeah, when
everybody
they
was
had
in
nothing to
the house,
do.
you had nothing to do,
Yep.
and oh, check this out, you need to go watch this person's talking about such and such and blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And then you go check them out, So fast forward, like I said, because you always had the Illuminati stuff, you always had those things that were, but it was kind of dying off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you started seeing was, you started seeing, like you said, all this industry insider stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have reports from people that work, to help manage this artist or manage this person or worked with this label or worked this club. They seen these people doing these weird, freaky things, right?
Yeah, that's
One
where they
night,
at.
right? Or they seen X, Y, Z, or they were involved with this, or we talked to somebody who was a part of it, and then first you would never see the person's face,
Never.
right? That's how it was at first,
Yeah.
right? And after a while, eventually you start seeing the people sharing stuff, and then people who want to try to go back and backtrack and find out about people. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, you had the other side, or people trying to keep certain things under wraps. They try to discredit them
Yep.
and whatnot. And then I think everything really came to a head with all this stuff. Because remember, because Diddy was involved, because they were all these folks were involved with this stuff, right?
Yep.
All these things that's been happening. And that's when you got, like I said, that was when Jaguar Wright started doing her content with real life folks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they were the Blue Couch thing. That's when that really got big. And I remember when I first heard about it, that was one of my homeboys at work. It was actually TJ was telling me about it. And he's like, man, you gotta check the video out, man. This person, Jaguar White, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, let me check it out. And I was like, oh, she's had all this stuff. Oh, I remember people talking about this years ago,
Years ago.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Same stuff.
Because, like I said, because I heard it, because, people always talked about those things, and
We
these things
heard
were
all
always
this stuff.
around.
Yeah. This is
It's,
not
it's,
new. It's not
it's
new.
just there were no legs behind it,
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
And the thing was, you started getting, and what I mean by legs is not just people talking about it and sharing it and promoting it, but you started hearing leaks about things, or people were actively around these individuals pulling information
Mm-hmm.
and sharing this information with folks.
Mm-hmm.
And this information was going to social media, and it was being trickled down to people, and it was coming from things because, like you said, these other platforms were building, and more people were coming in, and they were talking about stuff. And even some of these people who might have been involved with it, like some of these
We're
stars
starting to
and
sneak in.
entertainers, were starting to sneak in and were sharing. They were saying there's other things happening and going on, but they might have not spoke on it,
Exactly.
right? Or they said they might have spoke on another time, like with Usher when he went on Howard Stern, right?
Mm-hmm.
He saw a situation that he had dealing with, what he experienced dealing with Puffy, right?
Yep.
And so, and you started seeing those little things kind of trickle and stuff. And I think what really did it with his story was, like I said, because all these things were around. But what happened was the guy that was going around named Keefe D for years and years. He was one of these people that was on this circuit, right? They got started
Yeah, I
a
remember
couple right before,
before. Yeah.
back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, a few years ago, that was always talking about how he was in the car with, I guess, the folks that unalived Tupac,
There you go. That's what it
right?
said.
He
Yep.
was riding with them, right? And
Yep.
that was his claim of things. Oh yeah, I was in the car, and I was like, I don't know why you would tell
Why
people that.
would
It's
yeah?
not
Why
really
would
the
you
smartest thing to do.
confess to being a part of a crime that doesn't
Yeah,
have statute of limitations? It's
yeah,
murder.
and it just,
Like,
yeah,
dude.
and he was yeah, and then when he got arrested, right?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, we
oh,
knew. There you go, Kevin. That should have
yeah,
put
you knew,
everybody on notice.
yeah, and that's the
Everything's
thing,
up. Everything's up.
yeah. And I think, and that's what happened. I think all those things is kind of trickled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you had that, and then following that, of course, in November, that's when you had the situation with Cassie happen,
Yeah, that's
right?
November.
When
Mm-hmm.
with the settlement, and I think that's what really kind of got everything rolling to where we are today,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're not going to really go over all the stuff in detail what happened, because, like I said, most of the people who are going to be checking this out are pretty aware of what's happening and what's going on.
That's it.
All right, you
Mm-hmm.
got other sites you can check it out, and you can get the
You can
details.
go
You can find
read.
out about
You can read it
items that
yourself.
might have been places. You can read that.
Yeah.
That's fine. We're not necessarily here to talk about that, but this connects to another story that we talked a little bit about too this summer, and it was the whole beef or fiasco between Kendrick Lamar and Drake,
Yep. Yep.
right? And
These things are
just
tied
some of the
like
others.
that. They
Yeah,
tight.
and it's all close because it's like it's just little pieces of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so one of the things I realized was with both of those stories, especially with how the people who I guess were brought down to size or who were cut down essentially,
Mm-hmm.
they pretty much had the same. They have the same dilemma,
Yeah.
and the dilemma is they refuse. It's Peter Pan syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
These are two individuals that refuse to grow up, even to their
Exactly.
own personal detriment.
Yeah.
And what it means by that is like when you're going through life, like I'm about to be 40 in a couple weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed for that. And one of the things you look at is the things that you might have done when you were 20, 21, 22 years old. You're like 25, 26. Like
Yeah.
when you're an adult, you're older and you have responsibilities. You got
Mm-hmm.
to think different and you got to move differently.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of people who still struggle with trying to maintain that same type of energy, that same type of social cachet,
Mm-hmm.
and that relevance. And you can tell just like with how people interact people online, like types of posts, comments they make, you can look and you can tell,
Yeah. You can
right?
read them.
And you can see like there's some folks like they just refuse to grow up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just like a mentality thing. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the type of people that you associate yourself with. It's what you allow to bring into your environment,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not that's how you take care of your body, whether or not it's like what you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are connected, right? And all those things have an impact on what you do. And I don't think people really understand that either. And it's not like there's no deep. I'm not
It's
gonna
not
say
no
no
deep
deep
spiritual
spiritual
stuff.
metaphysical.
Mm-mm.
No, it's just
It's
common
one plus one
sense.
makes two.
Yeah, like if I'm just sitting up here in the ratchet tree and I'm listening to ratchet music and just being ratchet and just talking ratchet and just trying to hang out with ratchet people, like I
Yeah.
can't expect things that aren't ratchet not to happen to me, right? And then I
Yeah.
get mad, like I'm too old for this. Well, you shouldn't be doing the
You shouldn't be
ratchet
doing
stuff.
it. Yeah.
Just do
Yeah.
something that's more constructive.
Yep. Play stupid
Oh,
games, get stupid prizes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with both of them.
They love it. They love stupid
They
games.
love doing ratchet things. They love playing stupid games and being weird and creepy and doing things
Nah,
that
you're
are
right.
questionable,
You're right.
right?
You're very questionable
That are
things. Yeah.
hurting and harm that can
Harm
questionably hurt
others.
or harm
That's
people because
yeah,
we
that's the
don't
messed
know
up
because we
part.
weren't there. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it seems like this is a mean person. Like these people do mean things to people and take advantage of people.
Yep.
Like that's not nice.
Like think about
Like
it.
as an adult, you
People
would
don't just bring up allegations like this
know.
against you out of thin air for no reason. Like these ain't just
That's
regular
it.
allegations. These are allegations that were serious enough that you have federal agents raiding properties. They are seizing monetary funds. If they can't,
Yeah.
if you hid the funds, they will take the funds other ways. I read the look, Kevin. This thing's so Kev. Ain't
Yeah.
no way my man coming out of this. He coming out of it broke or dead. It's one or the
Uh,
other, but he's not
some
coming out.
counts, man.
Yeah, he ain't coming out.
He has all those counts,
Yeah,
man.
he ain't coming out.
And and the thing is, which is so sad about it is, just like everybody, he had a choice.
Yep.
He chose to go down the path he wanted to go down
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reasons,
Self-serving,
self-serving, whatever.
whatever. Yeah.
He made the choice. Hey, when I see these things happening around me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was exposed to them for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
because you gotta remember, I don't think nobody just comes in the world like he didn't come in the world wilding like that
Nah,
and
he
do
was trained.
none of these folks come in the world wild. They get
Nah.
exposed to these things, and then once they're exposed to these things, it's like anybody else. It's like, are you going to partake in these things, or you're going to move in according to this because when you're in Rome, you do as Romans, or are you going to find another way? Because
Boom.
you do have a
Good
choice,
choice. Yeah.
right? And I think what happened was he just was like, man, nah, man, I want this fame, I want this acclaim, this power, or whatever it takes to get it. I know this is what the big dogs do, so I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna try to perfect it, like as try to
And
turn into a science. Because you
point
got
you
to think,
made earlier
hurt
too,
people hurt
Kevin.
people.
Where did he come from? What is his lineage?
Yeah,
You were saying this earlier. It made so much sense to me. I don't think he didn't. That was the easy path that he chose, Kevin. He was born
yeah,
into it. He didn't choose
yeah,
the hard path. It's not like he worked hard to. No, that's some bull. When people say says hogwash, there's not.
yeah,
He does no hard work. His father was a part of that game. He was basically just another piece in that long line of people that go and work within the industry that do things
yeah,
that are illegal because we're talking about entertainment industry. And so this is
yeah,
one thing that gets me about this too, Kevin. and I know I'm gonna sound all crazy and like a Puritan man right now, but it is what it is. This is the entertainment industry we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And you're
Hmm.
surprised and caught off guard that there is
Yeah.
racketeering,
I
there
know.
is
I
abuse,
know.
there is
I know.
misuse of sexual of sexuality. First of all, we have cross border and cross state movement of drugs, guns, and people. You get like these are things that happen in a regular club
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Colombia. And you saying you're
Yeah.
surprised it happened in entertainment when
Yeah.
we're talking about
Well,
Los
and it's just the
Angeles and New York?
history of things. Like even if you just go back to things like ragtime and the
Yeah.
20s and
Porgy and
all that,
Bess.
you've always had music playing in spaces and debauchery. And nobody's saying music is evil because I don't want to take that angle like that.
Nope.
It's just you've always had these types of things happen.
Together. Mhm.
Music playing at a bar, girl up there dancing, showing a little thigh and whatever,
People
right?
playing
And then
cards
somebody
and
in the back
gambling.
getting roughed up by
Yep.
some hoodlums, right? Somebody getting stabbed or getting robbed,
Yep. Mhm.
right? It's always been, and I hate when people talk about, oh man, club's so bad. Guess what? It's always been bad.
Yep.
The club has always been bad. It's nothing changed. I know. Hmm. Yeah. Nice.
Money and sex involved, you're probably gonna run into some kind of violence, something crazy. This is a part
Yeah.
of the game, Kevin. We did it for years. I've done it for years. I know
Yeah.
better. I'd be stupid to tell you I don't know what's going on with
Yeah.
that stuff. First time
Because
we
that's where those
seen
people go, and that's where it's just nothing's new under the sun. And
nothing's
people act
new.
like this stuff is brand new. Like people haven't been involved in situations like this.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is between then and now. Now you have everyone has a microphone,
Mm-hmm.
so they can get online, they can share a story, they can share information they gather, and they can talk about their experiences. They can share that stuff with other people. They can highlight it, and then guess who else can look at it? Law enforcement can look at these things too,
Preach.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can find stuff. That's the only difference between then and now. There's no such thing as no good old days because they were doing the same thing. It was probably worse because you can get away with it because nobody told. Because if the people didn't tell, nobody in the next town is gonna know.
Not at all. Kevin? This is what I was telling you earlier in the paperwork. The funny thing that I saw was that they had a gap. First of all, they
Yeah.
started everything from 2008, 2009. They started tracking. So
Hmm.
15, 16 years
Yeah.
tracking. There's a gap between 2003 and 2008. Don't know what happened there.
Hmm.
But before then, 2003 up into the early 90s, they listed, there's no way they can prove or show anything that happened because it was the
Hmm.
good old days. Now we know why they call it the good old days because you wouldn't get caught. They didn't have anything on him. They had no receipts. They ain't had no videotapes of things happening. He wasn't doing cloud data storage of files and stuff like that. They
That's
weren't
what I'm
finding no
saying.
lube because you didn't have all that back then. He couldn't Amazon
No.
drop 15 crates of lube to his Miami mansion. That wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
It's wild.
he was able to get away with it because of that lack of access.
Yeah.
After when we're getting into the nowadays, oh man, that access.
You
That's why
can't do those
2008,
things.
2009, they were able to track him like that.
You can't do those things. You
Mm-mm.
can't do those things because now you order stuff online. Because like, this is be honest, and like I know I ain't want to get into the details of the stuff,
I mean, yeah, I mean,
but
it's
but
hilarious.
who's gonna like? There's a way to track if you're gonna buy that many products. Like if you're gonna buy
Yes,
that many bottles of baby
yes,
oil, you're gonna buy that
yes,
many products of lube. Like you could probably go back and track all that
and see
because
that it
it's
was
like, is
real.
that like an Amazon order? Is that an order that you buy from CVS? Are you going to, unless you're going to all these different CVS's and these Walgreens all over, Walmart's all over Southern Miami,
Yep,
grabbing stuff? It's
yep,
very likely you could just do these big orders of things
yep.
and you buy stuff, right? But that just goes to show you, to this day and age, it's just nothing like everything is there. Everything is visible, and that's where you got to talk about with people like what Cat Williams was mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's going to be revealed because everything is already there. You can't
You
hide
can't
stuff
hide
like that
stuff
anymore.
anymore. And these people, specifically with us talking about 50 years and growing up, maturing, understand
Yeah,
that you got to do that, right? I've heard many of these folks say, "I'm so happy that social media didn't exist when I was doing my thing back then. Y'all would
yeah.
not like
Why?
me. Y'all, I would be so exposed." And so you got to imagine somebody like Diddy, right? You got to imagine he's 54 years old, Kevin. He doesn't
Yeah.
realize like the you gotta realize,
The
Kevin,
world we live in.
the world we live in, you can't he's thinking, "Oh, I'm just flaunting my money and my etc. I'm
Yeah.
getting." No, you're being tracked. We know what
Yeah.
you're doing, how you're doing, where you're doing it at. It doesn't matter if you get other people to do it for you. And I think this is one of the things that's really telling about some of the stuff that we're seeing with hip hop right now, growing up, going through pain, growing pains, and trying to understand that like you can't stay in one. And as we you keep talking about this, and I say this is that very low energy, low resonance
Yeah.
area. You have to evolve and move up to get out. And so those people who aren't doing a good job of that right now, it doesn't matter how much money they have, power, exposure, etc. They're going to come on down. They're all about to get pulled.
Yeah.
So if you're behind any of those people, if you back any of those people, don't worry about them being around for
Yeah.
too long. Don't grow too
Yeah.
attached because they're gonna get pulled. So, uh, and it's not some kind of mystical thing. It's more of a just
No.
a
Generational
generational.
thing. It's
Because
just generation
it
thing. It's
happened.
a
It
culture.
happened
It's
to
just
it happened to
time.
rock. It happened to jazz. It
Yeah.
happened to all those different things. As the culture
Yeah.
matured, what happened is eventually those rebel rousers, those people, those
Yeah.
mavericks, those front runners who went to go change the game and make it different. All that stuff that they did to put them in that position, whether it be good or bad, they're gonna have to come
Yeah.
to terms with them. So unless you're
Yeah.
talking about you just Chuck D, you know what I'm saying? One of them type
Yeah.
people, brand new, one of them people. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You wearing
Yeah.
gold, you wearing wood medallions and stuff from that. If you were them folks, diggable planet status,
Yeah.
you cool, ain't no problems. But
Hmm.
everybody out here who is getting money, making it pop at the darn club, at the script club, doing all this blah 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 stuff. All those people, you have to pay for everything. Everybody that was doing that from '87 all the way up through 2010, you paying for it right now.
Yeah.
You're
Pretty
coming for
much.
you. I know
Yeah.
this is. We know that's the error.
Yeah.
We know
Yeah.
that's the
That's it. It's
error.
where all the people come from because you just look at the energy because they're the ones, especially when things like Me Too and stuff started happening and all that stuff started coming through. Those are the people that we notice, especially now that you notice that we're so tone deaf.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that were giving you these like how would they say such a thing? Why would they do that? But it's like if you look at them, they're from
They're from
that
it.
era,
Yeah, they're from it.
right? They're from that particular era, and it's like it's like the way they look at the world, the way they view things, they put things in those same like it's very hard for them to get out of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you literally have to, and if you notice with a lot of people from that era, the ones that aren't necessarily under the eyes right now, or who aren't in that real heat in that way, they've they've made a three like a one like a 360 or I guess a
180.
180
Yep, 180.
on the way that they present themselves to the world now,
Yep.
right?
Fat
And
Joe.
so you notice that like Fat Joe, Nori,
Yep.
like you think about like even people like with Cam and Mace, even though nobody's perfect, even with
Even
them,
with
you
them,
can
they
look
were
at the way
straight
they present
thugs. Some of these people were
themselves.
straight scoundrels, man. Straight
Yeah,
scallywags. Like these are
yeah,
the
but you see how,
dirtiest. They were the worst, Kevin. Even some of the stuff they be saying right
yes,
now let you know who
yeah,
they were back in the day. You could tell. You'd
that's
be
what
like,
I'm
yo, you were
saying.
no good.
Yeah,
You were no good
and you
scoundrel.
see all that. And you see all this with them, man. Like it's so wild. Like even with like how they talk about like with Jay Z, just look at the way Jay Z presents himself now to the world
Yeah, this man
to
was
what he
he was
used to
up
look.
here. What was he pouring Belvedere and Armagnac on
Yeah.
women and stuff like that? And wow, I'm talking
Now
about
he
being a pimp,
cosplays as
pimp.
Basquiat.
Isn't that some bull, Kevin? Isn't this a weird world we live in?
Yeah, because
You
like
would never be able to tell me in
it's so weird,
2003
so
that
strange.
Jay Z would be cosplaying as Basquiat. First of all,
It's crazy work,
cosplaying. Second of all,
crazy work.
second of all, he got dreads that are just freeform, and he's married to
Yeah,
Beyonce. That
Other way.
makes no sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Make
That
no
was, and
sense.
I remember I was watching the what was it? It was the 60 Minutes interview he did.
Yeah.
And he was on the 60 Minutes interview. He was like, "Yeah, I just keep, he talked. I just keep them for my daughter. You know me. I don't, I just have a classic Caesar. I just be about the business cut Caesar. But I just wear."
Ah,
I'm like,
this dude's a trip, man. You stop lying. That
yeah,
girl ain't want you to keep your hair like that. She
I
probably
know,
liked it at
man.
first, but not anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, man, but these people know, man. Like I said, I think you got a lot of people just knowing just to lay low to get out of places. But I knew stuff was about to get out of hand when Russell Simmons left. When I
Oh,
seen Russell Simmons
oh, that should
leave,
have
I was
told
like,
everybody because of where he went.
yeah,
He went to a
no
place.
extradition
That's
charges.
it. and his money folds over many times there,
Right.
so he don't got to do nothing. He can
Yeah.
retire there.
Yeah. And he can say all the wild off the wall things
He
he
want to
wants,
say,
man.
but
But it's like
he
they,
was the ringleader of it though. He started he started it, bro.
yeah,
Underage
man. It's
models tricking them with thoughts of
yeah.
like that weird like spirituality game
Yeah.
and drugs.
And it's so, and I think the reason I feel so bad for, especially for the victims, is for a lot of them, people can be like, well, they made a choice and they wanted money and blah blah blah, and you can say that the case for some people, and you're always going to have that. But the thing is, you still, just because you feel like that, just because you might move like that, doesn't mean that you deserve to be taken advantage of either.
Exactly. You don't deserve to be
That's
violated. That's the word I got to
yeah,
use on that. Going back to
yeah,
'90s hip hop,
yeah,
violated. Like
yeah.
these
You
people were
don't
being
deserve to be violated
violated,
because,
bro.
like, come on, man, you can't do stuff like that.
Hey, I do. I
That's
will say
wrong.
one
Like
thing,
this.
Kevin. I will say one
Mm-hmm,
thing. You take one thing away from Diddy. That guy
mm-hmm.
who apparently won that case, the case is
Yeah.
gonna get dropped because apparently he's a serial litigator.
Wow.
So
The
he's
dude
been
is
doing,
locked up.
yeah, and he doesn't why he's
Oh.
locked up because he knows the law, and so he'll go and he'll litigate
Oh
stuff. So there may not be
yeah.
any truth in that. So there's one ray
Okay.
of sunshine for Diddy.
That
He don't
was
have to,
wild.
yeah, he don't have to pay
He's
that
like, I
money.
got you too.
Yo, I got
That's not funny.
no, but
That is not
I can
funny.
see from all the
But yeah, but
stuff,
you're
I can
gonna have
see.
people like that.
Yeah, you're gonna have
But you
them.
can have people like that.
Yeah, you see
But
Dawn.
yeah,
That's
but
why
but he
Dawn should have went in earlier, but she tried to get in at the end to get her money. She deserved it too. I know she does.
yeah.
Nobody deserves that type of treatment.
But yeah, but they were always getting compl I remember you had, who was it, Aubrey Day. She used to complain about him.
Making the
Who else
band
used to
members, Kevin,
Yeah,
like
making the band. All of them used to complain, but he
Frederick
was
and all
wild
of
on
them.
making the band.
Franklin, yeah, what's that?
That should
Franklin, Frederick, yeah,
that should there was so many signs, but like you said, you didn't, like, before that time when media wasn't really that big into that. You didn't really see those things that he might have been doing or interacting. You just heard things years later from
or it would
people
be in a
talk
magazine. It means
magazine.
you have to
Yeah,
read it.
yeah, that's the thing. You don't. Yeah, you got to remember it's very different now. And so when he started to become more visible on in media, and you start seeing, and I remember when he started on Made the Band, like when he made him go get the cheesecake,
Yep.
when he go get cheesecake,
I'm
and
gonna
all
go
the
to
people that go across. I
Junior's.
was like,
Can you get my cheesecake?
yeah, I was like, and you got to think, and I always look at people like that, and I'm like, man, if they act like this on camera,
Camera.
what are
Yeah.
they like off
I
camera,
remember you
right?
saying that, kid. He was like, "Yo, I can't be looking like that. That's the wrong Diddy.
Yeah,
That's the wrong
yeah,
Diddy."
and then what else happened? And there's a movie. I don't know if you ever watched the movie, and this is what really brought a lot of the stuff to mind too.
Hmm.
How they say art imitates life. So there's a movie that he was in with Jonah Hill and what's my guy? He's the British guy, Russell Brand. Get him to the Greek.
Oh
Have you ever seen
yeah,
Get Him
yeah,
to the
yeah,
Greek?
yeah, yeah. That movie's
Do you
wild,
remember?
bruh.
Because
Yes, you're
remember
making me.
in the
Yes,
movie
yes.
he played a record executive.
He played the diddler.
Uh, He literally played himself.
Yeah,
And if we tell anybody, just please go watch Get Him
yeah.
to the
Just
Greek.
watch that, and you'll be.
Please watch Get Him to
It
the
will
Greek.
make you
Just
go,
watch
"Oh,
Get Him
they
to a
told
Greek.
us this
Yes.
already."
Yes.
Yes,
You
they
just
told
watch
us.
Get Him to a Greek. Yes. Please
Well, because
watch
you
Get Him
get
to a Greek.
everything and get him to the Greek, Kevin. You get all the
Yeah, I
Illuminati
know.
references. You get
Yeah.
all the like everything those tropes at that time they play
Yeah.
on and they make fun of. And I don't
Yeah.
know, man. That
You
is kind
gotta
of
watch Get Him
interesting.
to the Greek.
Yeah,
If you
good
watch
point.
Get Him to a Greek, and it's not like it's no. I'm not saying I'm not talking about rabbit holes. If you watch Get Him to the Greek, and then you think about what's happening now, and you see it, it is very ironic.
Yep,
That's all I'm gonna say.
it's very
It is
ironic.
very. It's truly art imitates life.
Hmm.
Like literally, he probably was playing his actual self.
Yep.
At least the self that we don't know, we don't see. This dude was wild and Get Him to the Greek.
Nah, I almost forgot about that, bro. Because that movie
Man,
was
I'm gonna go
so.
back and watch that movie now.
Yeah, you gotta make me go back and watch. This is Sergio
I'm gonna go back and
Roma.
watch that movie now. That movie was it was a good movie too. It was a good movie.
Came out in
It was a good
2010 too,
movie.
Kevin. It's right at that time.
Yeah,
Right at that
yeah.
time. Cause I
That's what I'm
remember the
saying.
big thing, one of the big issues with that movie when it came out is the art for it. One of the arts that they
Yeah.
have is Russell Brand behind the boy throwing up the devil horns, and they were like,
Oh
"Oh
yeah.
Lord, it's one of them." That's why I said everything's in that movie. Everything's in that movie. That was from that time, including Diddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shh.
Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. And
Shh.
I think Yeah, you take yeah, people gotta watch Get 'Em to
And it's
Agree, and
about
that's something else I'm
about it's about Russell Brand and Diddy having had long had rumors about them being awful to women. And so
yeah,
look, you know what's crazy about
yeah,
that? Russell Brand, another
mhm.
one of the people, he pulled a 180.
Yeah, that's
I gotta get
true.
on
He
them.
did,
I
he
gotta get
flipped.
on them.
Yeah,
I gotta get on them. He
yeah,
brought
he
it up.
flipped too.
He flipped because he
Yeah,
was doing diddler stuff, meaning,
yeah,
and I want people to understand too what we're coming at with some of this stuff, so that they make sure that we're clear. In the industry, you have real pimps. You
yeah,
got people who are really there to control
yeah,
the flow of women and sex and certain types of vices in the industry in
yeah,
different areas. So
yeah,
I know Russell Brand. I know he was a pimp in that movie comedy area for that group. He was. That's what he had to be. It makes no other
mhm,
point of what he was doing at the time when he was big. And Diddy has and will just did not want to give up the job of being the pimp in
yeah,
the R&B, hip hop, urban culture
yeah,
area, right? And
yeah. They were
so
trying to bring somebody else younger in.
that's why that movie is so funny, and you remembered it,
Yeah,
but that makes so much sense because on
yeah,
that movie they brought both of those folks together, and their whole premise was that they were being awful to women. Kevin, that's
yeah,
the premise of the movie, to try to
mm,
correct that. That's
yeah.
crazy, isn't it? So that's what they were actually doing,
Wow,
both of them in real
I
life.
didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, but
But that movie always stood out to me for years and
that's a
years. I
weird
was like,
one,
this is how this
man.
dude must
I'm gonna
really act for real.
I gotta go back and watch it.
You got to go back
I'm
and
gonna
watch
watch
Get
it
Him
as
to the
soon as
Greek.
we can.
Anybody who's watching this, please watch Get Him to the Greek.
Shh,
You have to get him to the Greek. You'll
that's a
look
weird
at it. You
one.
go, oh, okay. Now there might be some plausibility to this, and we
Yeah,
might have been seeing it the whole time.
yeah,
It's just you because art imitates life,
it does.
and so that was one. And then I remember years ago, it was the Drink Champs interview he
Hmm.
did with Fabulous, Jada Kiss, of course Nori, because I think it was just Nori. His was more EFN, and who else was up there? Oh yeah, it's Fabulous, Jada
Good
Kiss.
kiss.
Yeah, they were just there with Diddy.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
Nori,
Yep.
and they're around a table, and he was talking. He was saying something about I like that, Daddy, or something like that. I like when you shaking like that. It was something
I like when you
crazy.
scrambling.
Pause.
I remember
It's
he said, I like
scrambling.
when you scrambling like
Pause.
that.
Crazy.
Because he was
It
getting
was
drunk, right? And that's
yeah.
another sign that something ain't right with that man.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
already trying to take advantage of people. It ain't even they on camera.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude,
They
man,
on
like I was just
camera.
like, and they were so nervous. And
Yeah.
I thought about,
Yeah,
and I
they're
was,
very
and we talked about
nervous.
this earlier today. I was like, man, if that would have been me,
Yep.
or that'd have been you,
Yep.
and we would have got up there and started talking like that around these people who supposed to be gangsters, who supposed to be tough. Now, I didn't say
Gangsters.
gangsters. We just say they supposed to be tough.
Gangsters. Yeah, yeah.
Man, you know what would have happened to us.
Man, shoot, we've been drinking through straws.
That's what I'm saying. But he was up there
Why?
talking like that, and
Why?
they were just acting so
Why?
goofy and nervous and
Why?
scary. And I'm like, but Fab, y'all be rapping like tough in this, Jada. Y'all be rapping tough in Nori. Y'all be rapping tough and doing
They
all
still
this.
ain't
This
get
dude
their
is
money
talking
from. They
weird
still
with
ain't get their
y'all.
money from Puffy either, Kev.
That's what I'm
Jada
saying.
and them. I'm not gonna lie, and I love Jada and them.
And I
Mind you,
love them
I don't
too.
even want to talk no trash, right? I don't want to talk
No, and I'm
trash,
not even talking trash
but
about
I'm
them like
just
that. Because, like I said,
stating
yeah,
facts. I ain't got no business with them people,
yeah,
right? But
no,
you still ain't get your money back from this evil dude. He's
yeah,
evil,
man.
evil.
That's what lets you know if somebody can act that way. It's sort of you know what it reminds me of. You
It's,
remember Friday,
yeah,
next Friday with Damon,
yeah. It's who it
dude
is.
named Damon.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
like
He
Damon. He's
Damon.
like Damon up there. They
He's
like they were just
Damon.
it wasn't like Debo, it was Damon because you remember because Damon was threatening them, but he was also threatening them,
Threatening,
right?
threatening their manhood.
But they were so but they were trying to be cool, give him respect. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, this is a predator. Y'all need to stay away from this guy.
He doesn't
Not
deserve
funny.
any respect. He doesn't
Hey,
deserve
y'all need
any respect.
man, I would never air that thing, man. That interview, man. That's horrible, man. But yeah, but they were just so uncomfortable, and I'm like, but you guys present yourselves in a way to work, and that just lets us know that there's other things happening. There must be other things happening behind the scenes. At least we can assume
Yep.
that there's things that we're not aware of that allows him to move in the way he moves. Now,
Hmm.
we're not going to go in a rabbit hole and talk about all that here. 'Cause like I
Nah.
said, you got other people talk about that,
Yeah, that's what their job is.
but
My
that's the
our
thing.
big thing is just allow you to see what their archetype is on a greater
Yeah,
scale, like how it affects our community. Because Now what we're thinking about is, all right, so how do we, all right, we got these type of people in our community, just straight up
Yep.
honest. We got straight
Yeah, we
predators
do.
and,
Yeah.
people like that in our community, right? We know
Yeah.
predators, and this has been something that we've been trying to eradicate even in the 70s.
Yeah.
This is why a lot of those groups existed. Um, the Southern Student Leadership Council, your Black
Mhm.
Panther, the original Black Panther Party out of the Delta.
Mhm.
The reason why these
Mhm.
existed were to try to figure out ways to get those people out of our communities that were feeding negatively off of our communities, so that we could actually grow and be
Yeah,
productive.
they've always had people
Yeah.
that they always had people who terrorize us that look just like us,
Yep. And it
either
part goes.
directly or indirectly.
Yeah, and I know you're always talking about that movie Out of Time. It's like we cannot figure out how to
Yeah.
get those people out of our community so we can
Yeah.
grow.
Like, yeah. And that's the thing. And it's like, it makes you think about the music, right? And it makes you think about the culture itself. And one of the things I thought about was just with a lot of the culture, hip hop, well, the contemporary hip hop culture, how there's a lot of association with, like, you've always had partying and you've
Mm-hmm.
always had people having a good time,
Mm-hmm.
right? When it comes to hip hop, you had it before you had hip hop music, right?
Yeah.
Just in black culture in general.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you didn't really have so much reckless behavior and things associated with it, especially when it comes to like the alcohol part of it, the types of parties that are had. You know what I mean?
They're like
This
themed
the drug
events.
use,
Yeah, these
right?
aren't. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have all those things weren't popular, right? Those weren't things that were like touted and celebrated. Yeah, I remember there
Nobody
was
wanted to be
artists
a
who written
junkie.
songs about. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So people wouldn't drink. You know, you got you got songs about, of course, drinking. You know, the liquors.
Alcohol.
You
Yep.
advertising
Bottles.
liquors technically,
Yeah.
and all that. And like I said, and I understand when it comes to business and people have platforms and they have stuff and they're trying to make moves that, because of the demographic or the industry that we're in, and because of the culture that's being set, it's lucrative
To
if
sell.
someone has to sell a liquor line, to have a liquor line,
Yeah.
or to sell those things that are associated with people partying and getting down, right? But it just
Okay.
shows
And
you
here's the
that
thing, Kevin. I gotta say this as Ms. No. I
yeah,
have no problem with black people making money from black people selling
yeah,
things that black people want to use. Like, get you
yeah,
some Uncle Nearest, ain't got no problem with that at all. The
yeah,
issue is when it's only a profit based thing, like where I know it's tearing apart our community. So for instance,
yeah,
we grew up with St. Ives commercials.
yeah,
That bullshit.
yeah,
Schlitz malt liquor. Coke 45, that type
yeah,
of stuff, like where you're
yeah,
using those name brand people to sell you
yeah,
products that it's something that's there just to be abused to hurt yourself, like nothing
yeah,
else
exactly.
allowed in it. Like if you have something that has
Yeah,
some some culture behind it, some real umph behind it, some heft.
yeah, some history.
Okay,
So
cool,
yeah,
yeah, we'll take
some
it.
substance.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's all. And I think we just gotta. And I think with hip hop turning 50 last year, and what we're seeing now is there's got to be like there's a culture shift, and I think there are a lot of people that are looking for something different too.
Hmm.
It's not that people don't want to have fun; it's just people want to have more balance,
Hmm.
and they're going to be a lot more vocal about having that balance, and they're going to look at those things, they're going to question those things that prevent us from having that balance,
Hmm.
whether or not there's something, whether or not it's an individual or it's maybe a particular way people move or a mindset that's trying to constantly promote itself or stay present within the culture
Hmm.
that's going to be of detriment. People are going to be more vocal about it now moving forward. And I think that's just what you're seeing now. And I think that's what's happening, of course, with the legal thing stuff with Diddy. But I think that's what was so big about the Kendrick and the Drake thing too,
Hmm.
is that, like, yeah, that's okay if you want to do that, or you want to carry yourself that, or you want to have that type of music. But at the same time, we want to hear something. We want to have balance on our end. We
Hmm.
want to be able to get something that's constructive too. And I think that has a lot to do with even with what happened with the Super Bowl. If they said, because you got people fussing back and forth
Yeah.
about what happened with why they ain't pick Wayne, Jay Z did this, or Jay Z or the NFL did, and you got all like y'all can listen to all that stuff. Like this ain't the place. This
There's
isn't
not a
the
place for it.
conversation
Yeah.
for that. There's tons of content y'all can listen to. Y'all can subscribe. Y'all can cash app them, super chat those people, whatever. Much
Hmm.
respect to them, but at the end of the day, there is still you gotta just be honest. Like just with everything that's going on in the world right now, and we're not even talking about what's happening with the election. We're not talking about what's happening in other parts of the world or what's happening in communities around us in this country
Yeah,
that are
because there's a
struggling.
whole world out here
And
that's happening
yeah,
big time right
yeah,
now.
and nobody's saying that we expect a rapper to come in and say some positive stuff to save the world. But at the same time, like nobody don't want to just sit and just keep on listening to ratchet, janky stuff all the time.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna live in a
Like,
ratchet repeat cycle. I'll say that
that's what I'm
I want to
saying.
ask you this question, Kev, because what you're saying made me think about this. Do you think now that a lot of the
And I'm a Wayne fan too.
I know
But
that's
at the
crazy,
same
right?
time, I
No,
don't.
we know, but we understand that Wayne don't. That's not the place for him
This
to.
is not
It's
the
not gonna
place and time.
not place and time.
And he got other stuff going on health wise. He need to take care of himself.
Exactly. Again,
That's the problem with a
that's
lot of these guys now.
but that's
You got to
about
grow up.
growing up. You can't live like you can't be up here taking cocktails of pills and drinking lean and smoke like no, you can't do
Yeah,
that. No, it don't work. But
yeah.
in saying that, do you think that part of the reason why the culture is starting to shift a little bit, right? Especially as we're getting old, as hip hop culture is aging too, is because they have a stake in what is actually there. Because you got to imagine, Kevin, when hip hop came out of destruction, right? And
Mm,
basically, they didn't care about holding up the standards. They were trying to
mm-mm.
destroy the standards, break
Yeah,
down the
exactly.
structure, bring it down, right? Do you think that it got to the point where even you got Magic coming, Public Enemy is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? It's now
Yeah.
a part. It's a part of the system.
But
Like
you know why? But you know why hip hop artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? They're gonna be because you gotta remember hip hop. Well, rock and roll
is
was created by Black
I
Americans,
know
and not
it's
saying no FBA crazy stuff. So I
nah
don't want people to
no,
go
but
down that route. But
it's just what it
Black people
is.
created rock and roll,
Yeah.
and this is what it is, and they're at the root of it.
Yep.
So from a political standpoint, it's on rock and roll is
It's
seen as popular
everything.
music.
It's all it is. Yeah.
Rock and roll is popular music.
Hmm.
That's officially when rock and roll hit. That was officially the start of modern popular music.
Exactly.
And since Black people have had such a strong influence on modern popular music until this day, you're going to have hip hop artists that are gonna be considered for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Doesn't matter if they even pick up a guitar.
Never had to pick up
That's
a
just the
guitar.
standard that's set.
Yep. But Kevin, people don't realize that it's their
Yeah,
fault.
it's
It's
just
their
it's
own
not.
fault
It's
for not
just it's a
understanding what
yeah.
because
That's just it.
here's the funny thing is we didn't place it that way.
No, we didn't.
They took it. The RIAA took it and rolled on with everybody
Yeah,
else and said this is the way it should
yeah.
be
It's
because this is what
categorized.
it is. Because what they called rock and roll was just what we call race music.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do your
That's like what they
history. Do
talk
your
about.
Googles. Do
Yeah,
your Googles. Do your
race
Googles. You
music
figure
and
out what it
beach music
is.
and
Yep.
all that stuff, and it was called beat. It even had the term beach
Beach
music because
music.
that was
Yep.
what the young white kids had to go to the beach to listen to the music
Come
because they
on.
couldn't listen to it back home.
Nope.
And that's right. And that stuff was right here in
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina, right down
Yep.
there in Myrtle Beach and stuff.
And that's how you get to hear the people doing swing and all that stuff, the shagging and all that. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
that's where it all started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you gotta know your history. And I think even when it comes down to what's been going on, I don't even think people even understand, like you mentioned earlier, just with how things got the way they got to, and how interesting and unique his story, the Diddy story is, because Diddy literally spanned multiple eras. So he started out in the late
He
'80s
started out in the heavy R
and
and B
moved
market.
R&B, right?
Yeah.
Like New Jack Swing, all that, and literally, he's the only person that has been around and been that present in the industry since that time.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you know who's been that present and visible that in the industry where they have some cultural influence or sway
Not even
at
LL
that
could
time?
do that. Not even
No,
LL could
that's
do
the
that. He had to
thing.
leave and then come
And
back
go do something
and
else.
do
Yeah,
something else and move. Not even LL could do that.
yeah. So that's why this is going to be a really big thing because you got to realize it's not. And I hate. And this is the only thing I got a critique about some folks too. Like even with some things like people like Jaguar White and them say is it's a lot bigger than just personal gripes. 'Cause I understand if you had trauma and people have affected you because we weren't there, we don't
I
know
want you to be
people's
made
stories, and we're
whole.
not trying to hate.
I want you to be made
Yeah,
whole. Yeah.
a whole. Yeah, but at the same time, it's much bigger than Rockefeller Records
Mm-hmm.
and Bad Boy Entertainment
Yep.
and just some
Yep.
Soulquarian people,
Yep.
just some Soulquarian folks who
Mm-hmm.
might do some shady things. No,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Just being real, because that's pretty much where a lot of the great. That's
That's a lot.
where a
A
lot of
major part
her
of the great. Yeah, yeah. The
part of it,
soul
right?
Aquarians. Yeah.
And she's a very talented artist. Like she's very talented, but you can tell, man, the industry takes a lot of talented people, and it just treats them, just abuses them, violates them, and just throws them out.
Yep.
And they feel, and they were never allowed to really reach their full potential, and
Mm-hmm.
so you end up with stories like that, right? And you can tell,
But
like,
Kel, you
there's
know what's
still folks
crazy
that
about
are dealing with things.
this?
Hmm.
I thought people would learn this since the 1970s, and it's 1960s, the 1950s, 1940s, 1930s. They
Because they've always been doing the same thing. It's the
same
same thing. Nothing
game, man.
changes. It's the
Same
same thing.
game. It's not
And I think,
just
and I
different.
think Yeah, and it's just like, and even with this, what I hope people realize is if we get to find out really what's if it this thing goes the full length,
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to happen, but you're going to find out this isn't just a hip hop thing. This is more. This is a like an entertainment industry thing,
For
and
the
there's
people that
so many
control the
different
Taylor
people.
Swift, all the way to the
Yeah,
Enyas, everybody, you're gonna realize it doesn't
yeah,
matter if you do classical music, if you're a jazz tap
hmm
artist, these people exist everywhere. Um,
yeah.
like,
They just
yeah, it's kind of crazy like that.
Yeah, and it's all forms of entertainment, right? And it's
Hmm.
like different people, like you said, it's somebody, it's not just the people that you see on the stage
Nope.
or that you know, but it's like you said, it's a lot behind the scenes people that are involved in these
Hmm.
things, and it's just involved with stuff. This is just how they've always done things,
Hmm.
and it's just that's unfortunate. That's just a part of that industry and that business,
Hmm.
and it goes back to what you were going to mention earlier. Oh yeah, and I know you. So you had a chance to listen to Kendrick's song,
Yeah.
that last song he did.
Hmm.
So what did you think about? Did you think about? Because it's post technically it's untitled.
Yeah, it's
Technically
technically
it's
untitled. Like
untitled.
people are teasing, it's like the heart part six or something like that. Is what we're teasing
Yeah,
about it, right? But
yeah. So what's your perspective on that?
I'll say this, man. I think he did a good job of kind of unpacking what we're talking about right now. Unpacking
Mm-hmm.
what we're talking about, like literally, the party ending is the I guess the encompassing thing about it is that the party has to end. The party
Mm-hmm.
being what is going on currently within the industry, how the folks actually do their business, handle it. In a sense, for them, this is a party. They're having fun. They're making
Mm-hmm.
money.
Yeah.
They're acting with incredulous. They're acting incredulous to the law about what is
Yeah.
going on around them. There's no care
Mm-hmm.
for humanity and what they're doing
Yeah.
and how they're acting, and it's something that must stop. Because despite the fact that a lot of people might find this stuff entertaining, it might in their own ways they think that they're getting some kind of enrichment and etc from it, but it's actually not enriching the culture. It's actually hurting the culture, and it's causing people out there to be harmful and hurtful to others. And so he just wants people to be aware of it, first of all, but also let them know that he's trying to create a new era. He wants to create a new era where you don't have to worry about these
Mm-hmm.
individuals out here basically just taking advantage of folks who have creative goals, dreams, or aspirations. Because that's the one thing that is creepy about it too, Kevin. When it comes to the
Mm-hmm.
industry, is that you're taking creatives. Usually, these are people that are trying to find ways to push forward humanity's ideas of what you might think beauty is, what you might think love is, trying to help you understand emotions and all that good stuff, right? And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these people, they have really good thoughts in their minds, very positive about where they want to go, and then they hit that industry and it turns them sideways.
Yeah.
But that's
And
that's
that's
what
what
he
I feel
talks
so
about.
bad about, man. Like these people be good, and and you can tell, man. Like especially if you listening to, like especially, and I don't mean to pick on them, but you be listening to the interview, you can tell, man. People be in pain, bro.
They be in pain,
People be
bro.
in
They be in
pain.
pain. What's
Like
that
they've been
boy?
through
What's
some
that boy?
bad.
YK Osiris. Did you watch? Have you ever
Yeah.
watched his descent?
Uh.
So
Uh.
like how he started off from where he was to where he ended up, and he had run-ins with Diddy too.
Oh
You
man.
see what I'm saying? But you could see like he was not. He was actually trying to put himself in a position where he was elevating his mind, etc., and trying to get other people to follow. But the problem is, it wasn't. to exist in the industry, bro. They were taking that. They wanted other things. They wanted other
Yeah,
things
man.
from you, bro. So that didn't work out that well for him. But like I said, you can watch the different people's experiences with it and see that that stuff isn't that positive. But I think Kendrick, right to the point on it about what he's attempting and what he's trying to do. What we talked about
Yeah.
earlier, and I want to discuss this with the folk before we finish up, is like
Hmm.
this. You got some different things going on now. We're playing big man chess, right? This is big boy chess.
Yeah.
The one thing that kind of put some thought in my heart, and I kind of felt afraid for Diddy on this one. Not that I care really like that, but afraid for Diddy, as we were discussing earlier, the fact that the position that the gentleman is in right now, he's trying to get out of jail. I ain't never seen nobody try to get out of jail so hard. Where you
Yeah,
giving
that
up
was
your
kind of
mama's
scary.
passport,
Yeah,
your
he trying to get out
children's
bad, man.
passport, $50 million, property, everything, right? And they say
Why does he want
no.
to get out of jail so bad?
They say, yeah, exactly. That's what Kev was. When you started saying that to me earlier, I had to think about this, and I was
It's like,
like,
why does this dude want to get out of
Epstein,
jail so?
Epstein, Epstein. His jailers are gonna go to sleep.
Well, it's the same, and the iron, and it's not even. It's the same. It's the same
Same
facility.
facility. That's what's creepy, Kev. This is creepy.
It's the same
It's the
facility.
same
It's the
facility,
same
man.
facility.
Same
That's what
facility.
makes it wild,
He's in for a similar issue. He knows everybody. He
man.
knows where all the bodies are buried. The people that taught him. I don't know what happened between 2003 and 2008, but something happened and it changed his ability to be untouchable. Between that, whatever happened, I don't know what it is. His friends from that other period, I think he did something bad to him in the next period, and he getting it.
Mm.
He getting it. He didn't move out the way. Didn't do what he was supposed to do. Whatever it may have been, it's time for him to
You
get.
think so?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's what it is because,
Mm.
like you said, people overstay their welcomes. I think he overstayed his welcome. They already knew what his game was, how he operated. Kevin, I ain't never seen nobody get raided and left out to dry the way that he has been. Not with as much money.
Yeah,
Because think about it, Kevin, he still had $18 million left over to pay off his mortgage. He had the money to do that. It's not like he doesn't have money. That's not the
yeah.
problem.
They
The
just
money
ain't,
don't care. It don't matter anymore. This is power now. He's fighting a
man.
real power. So whoever this power is, that's who y'all should really be
It's
afraid of.
crazy.
And
Yeah, you're right.
because first of all, that means that they control what kind of beast they allow to exist in our community. That's
Yeah,
what.
because you allow these people to come in here and do that, right? And you give them up. And this is one thing I can. And we talk about this all the time. And we talk this years. I was like, it seems like they only give. It's like they give people money or allow people to make money that they know aren't gonna do anything with it.
Yep. Yep.
That's the wild thing. And people are gonna get mad, like, no, it's like there's a pocket watch that's hating. But no, if you think
No.
about it, right? Those are the people we think about in our communities that have money. Usually they're in entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What's one of the biggest issues with a lot of individuals? And what I mean by entertainment is, of course, music, but
Sports.
also sports.
Yep.
And what's one of the main issues these individuals have?
Just keeping the money.
Money.
Yeah. They're always
Most
having
of them
money
like make the
issues.
money, make a lot of money, and then it's in there, and they die broke,
Yep.
and they all lose their money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and and that's just a common thing. It's never people. Every now and then, you'll have folks who might slip through the cracks, who, when they get that opportunity to make a great deal of money, it's something that they're able to save money, but they're able to bring it back to the community, have an impact on the community in which they live in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can't say about everybody, but for the most part, what you see is you see a lot of the former.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like you said, you go out here, you get money, you go out here and just buy something that's stupidly ignorant that you don't need, and that money could have went to help, not even help out other people in the larger black community, even just the neighborhood you from,
It could have made a bigger
right?
difference as opposed to
It
being a
could have made a
Bugatti.
bigger difference, right? Just think about how many people come from neighborhoods they're from, right?
Yep.
And they don't, and it's weird. And I'm gonna tell you why it's so funny. It reminds me of the movie Out of Time too.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people that's another movie I watch is Out of Time, and I remember and it's like, well, if I try to go back and help people, there are gonna be people there that are gonna hate on me, and they're gonna want to come after me. like you said, and they think about i.e. Nipsey Russell, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then that makes you even go deeper and think about like, okay, well, why are these people doing this
Mm.
in the first place?
Mm. Mm.
If the whole
They're lacking
purpose is for people
resources.
to go out here and to get a bag or to help people to come out of the community, why are these people coming in and hurting these people?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's getting anything.
Yep.
Because if you would have had the ability, if it's just on general hate, and you're like, man, I wish I was the person who had this, then I'd go out and get it. Now there's a show you got to watch, and man, I don't know if it'll be a YouTube video about this, but somebody has to talk about this. Have you ever watched Boardwalk Empire?
Yeah, of course. You know that. You know that.
All
Dad and
right,
I, we all watching that Boardwalk Empire.
and there's a character on Boardwalk Empire. I wish somebody did like a YouTube video about this guy, about the character, not about the man himself, because he's
Yeah.
a great actor,
Yeah.
but about this particular character. Do you remember Michael K. Williams' character
Hell yeah.
in the movie?
Part of my family.
Not him,
Yeah.
but you remember he had the guy that was like one of his hoodlums
His
or
side
like
man,
his
the right hand man.
sideman,
Yeah. Yeah.
right hand man. But you remember he was beefing with him at the beginning when we first met him, but he was always hating on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a tough guy.
Yeah.
He was always hating on him,
Mm-hmm.
but he was cool with him because he was loyal because of the circumstances.
There you go.
You know the guy I'm talking
Yeah, I know
about?
exactly who you're talking about.
Because I remember he had mentioned something. He was hating on him. He was saying something. He's like, "Yeah, I see you up there, you and your red wife, and blah blah blah." Right?
Yeah.
But he was in his crew and
Crew.
cool with him.
Yep.
I gotta go back, and I was trying to figure out this guy's name, the character's name, and I gotta go back and look. But that's what happens so much in our community. You have so many people who are you're in community with or in close quarters with
Uh huh.
that have that type of, it's like it's all, especially people who are moving and doing things
Yeah.
like that. It's like you always have somebody that's close to them in that way
Mm-hmm.
that's really looking for their downfall, and that's
Always.
always been something that's prevalent. And it's sad because that individual exists, you then have people who, when they gain a little bit of notoriety or success or fame or financial gain towards something they could hypothetically help out the community,
Mm-hmm.
they think back about that person, that dude that's on Boardwalk Empire, that character, right?
Yep.
And it's like, I can't go back to my city. I can't really do anything because these people right here are going to take me down, are going to be the haters, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they just walk around and they's got so much. And I remember Bootsy was talking about this one time, and I can't even get mad at Bootsy on this because Bootsy, he's like, just like all of us, we're all broken clocks, right?
Yeah.
We can say some wild stuff, and sometimes we can be on point. And I remember he was telling somebody about the reason why he moved from because they're in he's from Baton Rouge or Shreveport. Which one is it?
Baton Rouge.
And he was like, yeah, I think so. And he was talking, and I should know that because I listened to his, yeah, it's Baton Rouge because I listened to his audiobook.
Yep.
And I remember he was doing an interview somewhere. And he saw people hating. He was like, "Man, you could be somewhere, and dude be looking at you, and he could see you coming, and he be having so much ingrained hate. And you know how Boots be talking when he get really serious. He be having so
So much
much
ingrained
ingrained hate,
hate.
hate. Just see it." And I'm like, man. And people might laugh at him, but he is serious about that.
He's right.
You do
He's
hate.
right.
He is absolutely,
I be
and it's
listening to
like
Bootsy, man, because he be right twice a day.
they be right twice a day, and that's the thing with all these people. They're right twice a day.
He
You
be
just gotta know
right.
when to
You gotta
just
know when
check.
to
You just
listen
gotta
to
know when to
him.
check
Yeah, you gotta know when to
people.
check him out. Yeah.
Because guess what? We're just the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
You were
all
wrong.
we say
Sometimes we're right.
BS and stuff all day, but guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Twice a day, we might hit on something.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not here. Like none of us are heroes, right? We're all still trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Like I sat back and I realized I was like, man, what is up with these types of people? And it's funny because another person that's in the movie played by, what's the brother's name? He's the actor. He's been around for a while. He was in Shaft. What's my brother's name?
What was he in Shaft?
Um,
The
he
Peoples?
was the yeah, Peoples.
Yeah,
God, what's his
the
name? The actor's name?
Latino brother.
Yeah.
I
But
forget
he
his
was in
name.
there too,
Yeah.
and he played. He was a hustler type dude, but his whole con was he was associated with the UNIA with Marcus Garvey
Jeffrey
them, but he
Wright.
actually got, yeah, Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
He was associated. That was his whole thing. He was associated with the UNIA,
Uh-huh.
but he was actually selling dope,
I
right? He
remember
was selling
that.
dope
Yep.
and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you always have these little elements, right? within and you always got those people, right? You got those folk that they portray themselves as being pro-black or about the community, but then behind the scenes, they have
Dirty.
other schemes going. Either they're
Yep.
dirty, illegal, they're scamming people,
Mm-hmm.
or they're just trying, just trying to get away with stuff, right?
Exactly.
And you got those individuals too, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to grift based off of identifying with the trauma, the pain we had, and it just goes and they feed off of that whole pro-black thing. Like, oh man, if I just show that I'm down with the people and I'm for the cause and I do this, I can get a couple bucks off of some folks. I can sell a couple products. I can sell some shea butter. I can sell,
They like
and
doing
I'm not,
that.
I'm not,
They like doing that and selling
right?
that shea butter. Yeah, man.
Yeah, right. And they do that, and it's like, and you can say you got that hater,
Uh huh.
right? That's in the mix, right? That's just sitting around, just hate, just sitting there, just with hate in them, right? Anytime somebody do something, just hating, right? And you get there now, they've evolved. Now they get online now too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But then you got that other person, that grift, that pro-black grift guy, right? Because they play on those pains. Like,
This is
black
a good
people
point.
struggle
Go
so
ahead. Yeah,
hard.
you're right.
It is painful,
Hmm.
and we struggle. We gotta get ourselves together. Economic, and don't get me wrong. We should get ourselves together. We should work with each
But
other,
this is
right?
a
But they
trick.
play
This
off
is
of
a wolf in
it's a
sheep's
trick.
clothing.
Now
Don't
I want you
believe
to
it.
come out here, and I want you to buy my kit. My darn such and such. My
My
little economic
economic
little
kit to
effective.
teach you how to get out of the control of the white man.
Yeah, it is for $99 for the
Yeah,
first installment. Then after that, you pay $299.
yeah,
All that
yep,
foolishness. Then you can take my online class where I
yep.
do that. And it's like you got all those things that are pulling at you, and then you got these entertainers that are out here making this money, and they're
Easy.
feeding into these things too.
Yeah,
And at the same time, they go ahead wasting their money, and they broke at the end of the day. And then you just got us common folk here just sitting around. And I think what's happening is now you're starting to see people just opening their eyes to all that stuff.
yeah. We're just like, oh,
I think,
this is a trick. This is a trick. Yeah, this is a trick. Matter of fact,
yeah,
you don't gotta buy no albums. They're still gonna get
yeah,
paid. They're like, what? They're still
yeah,
gonna get paid? Yeah, they're still gonna get
yeah.
paid.
Yeah, I think it ties in with politics too. I think
Yeah.
even with what's going on with the election and stuff, I think that's where a lot of those themes come. I think a lot of that stuff plays into that because if I notice, a lot of those people that we name, those two types of characters or those two types of energies
Mm-hmm.
per se, even the third one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even all like just all three of them, you can see what they go towards. Like I'm not gonna tell them what to vote for, what to do, but you just look at the energy, look at the way they carry themselves, and
You
look at
can
what they
see.
gravitate towards,
Yeah.
and you can see
You can
it.
see it.
Because the thing is, it's not necessarily about the politics. It's about what those people represent to them
Mm-hmm.
and what they want to identify as.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
That's
why
where
you see a
everybody
lot of
is
that's
right now, Kev. That's one thing.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be sounding old school. I'll see about it. I ain't getting with this, but everybody's
yeah,
about identifying right now. I don't know why,
yeah,
but that's where everybody's at. They're
yeah,
about identifying as something.
yeah.
They
It's
have to
really huge.
identify, right? It's the hugest thing in the world to identify, right?
Yeah,
So everybody's trying to find and get a role and identify. And I ain't no problem with that. I want people to identify. But it is a big thing now. It's something that has caught me off guard because I'm not thinking about it normally in that way because I just think, people out here being peopling, right? Because
yeah,
I've seen
hmm,
crazy stuff. I'll just put it like that. I was a big
yeah,
SJW and I was out here getting stuff
yeah,
in
yeah.
and
I
everything
remember.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yep. But at the same time, I tell people I like to keep things simple. And the problem with the identifying thing that I'm saying is that it has taken simplicity and flipped it on its head. And so everything is mad complex now. There's there's not even I'm not gonna lie, Kat, this is what's weird. There's not even a idea of morality. So because you were talking about Bootsy, right? I just had to look this up to see what's going on with Bootsy. They had this statement Bootsy said about Puff Daddy getting caught. He said he said he's just a little freakier than
Bootsy
than
man,
most
wow, man.
because it's Bootsy wilding. But he right because this is what I'm saying, Kevin. Technically, there ain't no morals. There ain't
No,
no more. He is just freakier.
yeah,
The
that's
problem
it.
is he's bringing freakiness across state lines. I'm not even gonna lie to you, Kevin, because I know how the law works, right? If this nigga would have
Yeah,
kept everything in state lines of what he was doing, he would not be going to jail. This is the same way they got
yeah.
Jack Johnson. It's crossing state, it's interstate
They
commerce. It's the only
lies.
time when the
He couldn't
federal
help
government
it.
can jump in. I already know the law. This is what I'm saying. This was so whack about this.
Yeah, he
Not
couldn't
that I
help it.
care not that I want him to be safe or anything. I don't care about him, but I'm just saying they have people that are doing the same exact thing that he's doing. They're about you see what's happening with Mayor Adams in New York. They're about to get both of them
Yeah, I
burned.
saw that.
They're about to get both of them. All his people coming down. Everybody he putting
Because
up his
they
feet.
all from that same.
Same air.
Yes.
They haven't
It's
grown
the
up. They're still
same.
doing the same things, same little
And
games,
you could tell the way he be talking too. He sound like old school hustlers,
don't
man.
he?
You could sound like them dudes. Yeah, man. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying, man. Blah, 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 blah,
New
blah,
York
blah, blah,
status,
blah,
just
blah. Yeah,
straight New York
we know how
status.
y'all talk. We know how y'all talk. We know y'all be scheming,
Yep. Yep. Look,
talking
look, look,
fast, and
look,
like,
look, listen, Kev, watch this. This is what I want you, this is what I'm trying to get people to understand when we're talking about like
mm,
people just being pimps and stuff. Listen, I feel Diddy in jail for basically doing what every other famous entertainer has done. Flew
yeah,
B words out for threesomes. You should be
yeah,
labeled a prostitute.
yeah,
Is he lying? Look, watch, this is the crazy part, Kevin. This is what I'm saying. They made a case to make this is what I'm saying. What you're seeing is real power taking over perceived power. So for all these black people out
yeah,
here, y'all realize y'all most powerful, biggest black people ain't no real power. It ain't. It's not really
yeah.
what you think it is. There's something else out there controlling that stuff. Because
And you know who I got to give credit to for this too, and this is another creator I check out, man. And he talks about what's Tone Talks.
yeah,
Tone Talks was
yeah,
talking about that, and he was like, "Yeah, he's like all these people they put in front of you, they don't really do anything. They ain't really helping you out or nothing. And there's things we need to talk. And there's actual stuff we need to, it's actually politics and things that you need to do on a day to day
real
level to
life
actually get things.
things.
And they put that he calls, I like how he refers to it's that decadent veil.
Yes, good point. I like that. Decadent veil. Decadent veil. That
Yeah,
is what it
he
is.
was like,
You don't
I was
even
like,
need
yeah,
to be
this
paying it no mind. Like not at all. And that's what kills me about it. And I just like listening to people. Like I said, Boosie's hilarious how he talks about things. But this stuff is right. Like at the end of the day, if you actually look at everything, we talked about it earlier with people like Hugh Hefner.
yeah,
How do you think these? How do you think the girls are getting to his mansion, Kev?
yeah, they
Kev,
they get
wait,
it
wait. Let's
somehow.
think about this. What we're talking about: interstate travel, right? Racketeering for sexual, making money sexually, right? Prostitution, right? How? What if you're in the Dern magazine itself, Kevin? You read a Playboy magazine, got the centerfold, the lady in there being all naked, right? It'll say
Hmm.
where she's from, her age, how long she's
Hmm.
been doing, etc. Right? They don't just be. Everybody's not from California.
Yeah,
So that means they did what? They crossed the state lines for the reason of, and this is what's so funny about it, man. I try, man. It's just the way that the law works. So this situation, like I said, it's gonna be funny because at the end of the day, I'm gonna go down with what you said. Two options. He's either going to die in jail, or if he's able to beat the case, he's not going to have any money. And what I mean die in jail is he's not dying in jail either because the sentence is very long and he dies in jail, or he's not dying in jail because nobody wants him to talk. Because the only way he's going to get out is if he talks.
yeah, you're right.
So he's
You
he's
were
he's
absolutely
checkmated.
right.
He's checkmated. There ain't no other way out of that.
Yeah, man. Because like I said, I just don't see no other way. Like to be honest with you, I just like I still. There's no way you can get out of that situation.
Because what's he going to do?
There's
He can't
absolutely no
stop the
way.
witnesses. He ain't
No,
stopping no
it's like
witnesses.
almost 50 of them.
Yeah, that ain't happening. And then at the same time, like where he doesn't have any legs to stand on either. There's no there's video footage. They have all the goods. The gig is up. Um, and I think for the gentleman that was going to come and take his place, in our opinion, I think he's lucky that Kendrick came for him.
Yeah,
I think he's lucky. Think
yeah,
about it, Kevin. I think he's lucky. He could be
yeah,
going
man.
down that road. But Kendrick kind of
Yeah,
stopped
this
him from
could be a
even starting.
warning.
It could be it's a warning shot. He don't need it. You
Yeah,
stop. It's done. It's done. It
yeah.
ain't
He
going
just need
nowhere.
to. Yeah. Now his thing is, man, he just got to go somewhere, man. Just go and chill,
He
man.
can't go
Please.
anywhere, Kevin. They paid him
I know he
already.
can. I know they. I know he
Kevin's
can.
like, I
I
don't care if
know.
he got a contract. He need to dishonor that contract. He can't.
I
He got to. He
know.
got to
He
honor the
just needs to
contract.
go.
And you got to
It's a
imagine too,
pill.
Kevin. It's going into the it's his season.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing I don't like either. Man, he's Scorpio,
I
man, and
know,
I hate
Kev. He
these
make y'all
things.
look
What you call
bad,
Scorpio? They
boy.
make all these guys
His
make us
birthday
look
right up
bad.
on your birthday, Kev. Right up on it.
Why Scorpios make us look so bad,
Making y'all
man?
look
God,
bad,
man.
bruh. Making y'all look bad. Nah, man. I was just like,
Man, I'm
yo.
trying to figure out. You know what I'm trying to figure out too. You know what I'm working on right now too. I'm working on the cover art for this.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, so we're gonna cover art, and I'm trying to figure out what should I do with the cover art. And so I like you. I'll show it to you in a minute. It looks so funny, man.
What you got, dog? Let's see what it is. No, but
Let me see if I can show it to you. Let me see if
okay.
I can show it to you real quick. This is cool, man. Let me see. Let me start share screen. Let me see if it'll let me share. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this thing, do this efficiently. All right, cool. Do you see it now?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's perfect, dog. That's
And I
perfect.
got to
That's
figure out the name
perfect.
of this episode. I
That's
got to figure out the
perfect.
name of this
That's perfect,
episode.
man. Look at
Good
yo.
stuff.
This is man looking like a vampire now, yo. He looks like a
So
straight
good.
vampire.
So I got
Vampire
to
from
figure out the name of
Brooklyn.
what we're gonna call this episode, man. Gosh, this is gonna be a
Um.
good one.
What's it called? What should we call it?
And this is cool too, man. I like this, but we gotta do this at least once a week. Like talk about something, then like work on everything like right here in real time.
Yep. Just so you can see it pop out. What should it be called? It should be called. I mean, because
Diddy.
this is a bit of a continuation from our when he first. We didn't know whether or not they were gonna follow through with everything and put him in,
Oh
but
yeah, Freak Nick and Diddy and J Cole
yep.
too.
That's
That
it.
is right. I'm just gonna put Diddy done.
Yep. Did he done? Did
That'll
he
be good.
done? Did he do it? Did he do it? Nah, he did. He did do it. Nah, man,
Oh
this
man, that'll
guy
be
here,
funny.
bro. This guy
I
here.
just But you know what, man? But that stuff, man, I just feel bad for the people. And I just like, I hate the fact you got people out here like, man, they shouldn't have put themselves out here like that. They shouldn't have put themselves out here like that. I'm like, well, they shouldn't have. People try to take advantage of them like that. Maybe they should be like, man, you don't need to do this. This is the wrong way of getting a bag.
Yeah, this is the wrong way to get a
Instead, like,
bag. Like, bro, we could do
get a bag
something
a
else.
legit way. Like, that's the thing. Because it's like the same people who say that are the same people who get up here and get mad when you have, what is it? It's like when you get the like when kids go out here, right? And I know this just from some work I've done. When kids are going out here not making money the right way,
Yeah,
you'll easily go up there like, man, this ain't the right way for you to make no money. You need to do something legitimate. You need to do something that's gonna get you hurt, get out of trouble, right? Why? Why? You know, this is the problem with a lot of these other folks that who get into these situations. Like, hey, this is not the best way for you to make money.
this is not.
Maybe you need to do something a little different, or maybe you just need to do something different, period, right?
Yep.
And I think that's just what you got to look at. And I don't think people look at it like that. Like, man, like you don't have to do this. Like, you just don't.
No, you
Like,
don't
you
have
got a
it. You
choice.
got a choice, Kevin. I don't know why these people act like they don't think they don't have a choice.
And that's why I feel so bad for. Because it's like the way, like you said, it's like these jokers act like they do not have a choice. Like, the only way I'm going to make it
Is
is
to
if I
do
go out here.
something illegal, bad, makes people hurt something. Like it's a bit. I'm gonna tell you like this though, Kevin, and we were talking about this earlier. It's politics of power, man, and I get tired of politics of power just because what it states is basically the it hopes for and banks on the worst of humanity in order for it to be relevant, and that means that the person who has power will use outright moral depravity to conquer
Yeah.
and to exist. Like they will not ever choose to do the right thing because of their over arching power. Like so for instance, like if you that's what the whole idea of absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Like you just give somebody
Yeah.
power and let
Hmm.
them run around, they're gonna everybody's gonna turn into Diddy eventually. This is what is written by Thomas Hobbes. Like they talk about the fact that
Yeah.
humanity is cruel and we're gonna live a cruel, quick, like dirty life. That's just what it is. And that's a weird way to think about things, but people like
Yeah.
the diddler prove that people will do that stuff.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we all have a choice, right?
Hmm.
We have a choice to do good or bad. Nobody's forcing us to do either. We can try to say that I lived this hard life, so I got no choice but to be like that because they treated me like that.
That's
But then at
it.
the same time, you still make a choice in another direction. That's why I feel like not that you can sit up here and not blame him for everything, because like this dude was a horrible person, and I've always said this dude was a horrible person,
Horrible
and
person.
and I was happy when he got caught,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But at the same time, I also understand like he didn't come in this world as a baby.
Horrible or
Like this is how
evil.
this dude's gonna move. Keep him from keep him out of preschool.
Oh my gosh. Nah, you're right, Kev, because someone said like, yo, if you
He
went back
stays
in
in the hospital.
yo, if
He
you went back
stays
in
in
the
the
day,
hospital.
Kevin, if you went back in the day and you met baby Hitler, would you kill him? It's one of them
That's what I'm saying.
situations like, they didn't start off that way.
So
They didn't start
no,
off
like
that
that's the
way.
thing. Like people who do horrible things don't start off like it's certain things that happen to them that influence them that changes them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. That I think that's the thing people got to get. Until you understand that, you're always gonna be lost, man. Like every time, like because you can't. It's just and what it should tell you is maybe we should actually invest more in making sure children have healthy upbringings as opposed to always focusing on adults.
Yep.
And we focus all our priority on adults. And this is part of growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of growing up, you got to realize is it's not always about you, right? It's about those around you or those that are dependent on you, whether or not that's your children,
Mm-hmm.
like nieces and nephews or whatever, younger kids, people, people are impressionable in the community that you're younger that might need some support. But then even like those older people who need support from you, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're getting older in age, like parents and stuff. And
Yep.
that's part of that maturing thing and getting older and understanding that it's not always about. And this is the thing
It's not always
with them.
about you.
It's not always about you. It's not always about your pleasure. It's not always about what you're getting out of something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be it has to be greater than that. Like you got to have it has to be a more fulfilling purpose, and everything can't be hedonistic.
Yep.
Like you can't just live life like that, and that's really the problem with and that's the problem with the culture. What happened once the consumerism came in? Then just like with every other genre, right? You get that hedonism that comes with it, right? And then that's when it totally just ruins the genre.
Yep.
And like you said, it's happened before. It's not like
It's not. It's not. This ain't the first time, bro.
yeah, and that's the whole point of the song part. Like I said, with that Kendrick song, is like, hey, maybe stuff does need to fall back and get irrelevant. So maybe you can get out the people who were only here for bad reasons. And I kind of agree in a sense because there are a lot of people who do hip hop that
But the
don't really like
wrong,
hip hop.
yeah, they don't like the
They just
culture.
want a bag.
Yeah, this is another way to get
They're
money.
not.
If they could sell broccoli on the street and get the same money, they would.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
the whole point. Like that's why
I
they
wish
just
that's
come
what they
in and just
did.
recklessly write. That's why they recklessly write the songs they write, and why they act the way they act, and why they talk about the culture. That's like you see, what's my dude name? Like Post Malone. That's why Post Malone act that way. Because people
Yeah,
get mad at Post Malone, but the
hey,
black rappers act like that.
yeah, ain't no different.
I know.
It's no different.
That's what I'm saying. Like, man, you could, like I said, I've went back and I've read, like I said, listen to autobiographies of people. And to be honest with you, if they, a lot of these folks, if they could make a bag doing something else, they never would have rapped.
Nah, not at all.
But
It
they're
was a
like,
last
oh,
ditch
okay,
chance for most people.
yeah, like man, if I do
It's,
this, it's the same thing, man. If I can't make this rap thing work, I'm gonna be out here always hustling on the streets.
yep.
And I'm like, man, that's the problem.
Especially before it was commodified.
That's the whole point. They weren't even thinking about it like that. And that's the thing, because if you remember, there were a lot, and if you really go back and you listen to like hip hop, like people who were in the hip hop culture when hip hop first started, those are your outsiders, those are your lames.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted to be those people,
Nope.
right?
Yep.
Those weren't, like I said, those are like the rejects of society. And it wasn't until once it started getting admiration and fame that other people want to start latching on to it. And then that's when all the stuff started, and that's when it started turning to what it turned into.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just it. That's just like you can go back and listen. Like these people who were into it, they weren't the end people because you gotta remember, hip hop wasn't the thing at that time. It wasn't a thing in the '70s.
No, it wasn't.
Everything was disco,
Disco. Come
man. It
on.
was disco. That's all the
You
cool
get beat
people
up by a
were,
disco
man.
DJ.
That's what I'm
Oh
saying.
my
Like
lord.
it wasn't the end thing. Why do you think they had like? That's why punk and hip hop have so many cultural ties because that when they did the whole disco sucks thing and then you had the hip hop thing, that's kind of where those things kind of split off from that mainstream cool culture
Yep.
because it wasn't cool anymore and they
Mm-mm.
were rebelling from those things. Now, of course, with the disco sucks, that had some racial undertones in it, but nonetheless, it was still the same thing.
Mm-hmm. It was still trying to
And
break away from the
right,
machine.
machine,
This is the
yeah,
music
because
that's
disco
pushed
was the
by,
machine.
yep, it's pushed by the radio, it's pushed by the record companies. It's because of the culture of hedonism and dancing and doing drugs like
Yeah,
cocaine and drinking and stuff like that. Wild sex. Think about it, like that's what it was, right? And so
yeah,
punk and
yeah.
hip
I
hop
don't.
were against that.
And that's the wild thing about it. It's like they go against that, and it's like then all of a sudden you get some things get corporatized,
Corporatized.
right? Or
It it moved.
commodified.
It moved over from
It
disco
was,
and assumed it was like the Borg in
yeah,
Star Trek. Resistance is futile. They just
yeah,
come and
man.
assume you. Yep.
And that's what makes it so wild, man. Like you said, and I don't think people even see those connections like that. But yeah, it's just like you got, and I think that's the unfortunate thing about even a lot of these folks that are commentating.
Hmm.
I wish they would talk more about the bigger picture, about how this is a continuum, and this isn't something that's just like an overnight thing. These are things that have all. It's not just a hip hop thing. It's much bigger than hip hop. This is something that's always happened within popular culture.
Why do you think they
There's
don't?
always a genre. I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe because it's not going to really get as much clicks. To be honest with you,
That's what
I
you
just
think it
think
is?
that's
Because here's the thing
yeah.
interesting about that is that they, I don't know if they actually have a choice. And this is what I'm saying. Like I really just don't think they have a choice, man. I just
Mm-hmm.
think they gotta it's this is what Cat was saying, but I get what he's calling it the go along to get along game. But with him and Kwame Brown was saying the same thing. But I know what they mean by that. Like it's not that they want to; it's that you. It's a ball that's already rolling. The momentum is so
Yeah.
strong. Then the inertia there, you would have to overcome to stop it. Why, right? So when you get there, you either get surprised and
Mm-hmm.
you fold over and you join the game, or you run the other way and you pull a Kendrick. Like you do one of those.
Yeah.
Right? It's up to you, but you figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't ever even get to see that level. So
Mm.
they'll they'll stay around the edge of it and just live in the chitlin circuit and stuff like that. But they ain't never gonna
Yeah.
be out here.
Get big enough to where you get to see it like not like a cat or a Kendrick.
No,
That makes a lot of sense because, like you said, because you're always gonna have people who just are around close enough and they see what's going on in there, but they never really go. They never go in that door. But because of
exactly.
their talent's always gonna keep them near the entrance.
Uh huh. You have a better
So they're
chance of
always gonna
seeing
have,
it as a security person.
yeah,
That's what it
yeah,
appears
and
to
that makes a
me.
lot of sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot
Shoot,
of
you be a
sense.
bodyguard, you see some strange things, bro.
Yeah, you're right.
Imagine if you got to hang out with Ric Flair back in the '80s. You got to see some. You got to see some strange. Because look, I see some strange things from him, and it was in the 2000s, and we was at
Man,
Charleston Place, so I already know.
man. So what happened with Ric Flair?
Ric Flair had the ladies upstairs with champagne and the cocaine. Real talk. I'm not even bull. This is real talk. He gave me a good tip and everything. Room service, all that. He was cool. He was cool.
Man,
It's Ric Flair, man. This Ric Flair. This guy's
yeah,
crazy.
it's
He
Ric
really is who
Flair.
he says he
But
is.
like you said though, but it's all those things like they're all connected. It's like you can't have one without the other,
You can't.
right?
You can't just. He can't
And you
just be
think,
regular. Think about it. He can't just be
yeah,
at the house chilling, eating a sandwich.
man, you know how wild that is. Like that's like a prison in a sense.
Yeah.
Like you gotta be somebody that's always lit.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be painful
Yeah. And this
to
was like right
always be
before
lit.
he put out that video with the Migos where they redid the little Ric
Oh
Flair thing.
yeah,
So this is during that
yeah.
timeline. This is a few years ago. So
That's what I'm
it's during
saying.
that
That's it's all
timeline. So
connected.
yeah, he still had to. I was like, bro, you too old for that, man. You still doing that? And it's not like I had a problem because I like Ric Flair from the old school. So I was like, yeah, Ric Flair. I was
But
all
like you
pumped and
said,
excited, Ric Flair. But then you think about it, and it's kind of sad. It's like, oh no, Ric Flair, you cannot stop living this lifestyle.
yeah, it's
You
like he's
can't grow
trapping.
up.
He's like Spuds McKenzie.
Yes, yes. He ain't
He's
growing
like
up.
Spuds
Spuds
McKenzie
McKenzie, he ain't growing up.
or Duff Man.
He is
He's
Duff
talking
Man. He's Duff Man.
he's partying.
Keep partying harder.
And that's what's so sad about it, right? Because it's like it seems like, man, with Diddy, like it's like he can't stop. Like it's literally can't stop,
Can't
won't
stop, won't
stop.
stop. Right? Like he can't stop, won't got to keep going until it burns
And
down.
like you said, it's literal, like you said, man, and it's so wild, man, because like you could tell, like it's like when they caught him, he had things on him.
Yeah. He was actively trying to still do it.
Right? So, like, man, you know,
That's like a
to live like
crackhead, man.
that.
That's like a crackhead.
That's what I'm saying, man, and that's what makes you wonder. And then when you hear about these stories about these different entertainers passing away, and they
Mhm.
always talk about like the last things they were doing, like in their final days, and it's like they're always still pushing and
Mhm.
doing this wild stuff. And even with what happened, unfortunately, what happened, rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan, right?
Mm.
Wasn't
Mm.
there something? Wasn't it overdose?
Bruh. The 2 days
The-
before he died, he was online, obviously tweaking, talking, telling people not to take drugs. Looking bad, bruh. I don't know if it was lean or whatever it was he was doing, but he obviously was not right. And then the thing was, I'm gonna tell you something to make you mess you up, okay? Mess you up real quick. I know this ain't got nothing to do with Diddler, but it's the same thing, talking about like
yeah,
growing up
it's
in
all
lifestyle,
connected.
right?
Yeah,
Because this man got a child, he has a young lady that he's living with. He's supposed to be changing his lifestyle. He was supposed to be getting off
yeah,
drugs and stuff like that because he was
yeah.
realizing what it was
Hmm.
doing to his body and etc.
Hmm.
This man was found apparently on the ground with food in his mouth. His brother then picks him up and puts him on the couch and leaves. His wife comes downstairs to take the child to school, sees him down there, puts a cover on him, comes back, goes upstairs, goes to sleep, comes back downstairs, still there, feels him,
Wow.
he's cold, realizes he's dead. He's dead. Now you tell me this, Kevin.
Mhm.
If my brother, Kevin, if you were laying on the ground and you have food in your mouth,
Mhm.
and I'm like, first of all,
Yeah,
like, why are you on the ground with food in your mouth, bro? Wake up. What you doing,
yeah,
right? I'm gonna wake you
yeah.
up, right?
Yeah, of course.
Why would I pick you up even if I knew? And this is what makes it sad. This is what somebody said. And this is how bad the lifestyle is. This is what we got to deal with this thing that we keep calling the culture. The lifestyle is
Yeah,
so bad that they're like, he does lean. He's probably out. I'm gonna let him sleep this off. Just what my brother does. Either that had to be the case, or
it's,
there was some other weird stuff going on, and he was just like, "I'm just gonna put him here. I ain't got nothing to do
yeah,
with this. I'm gonna get out of here." Because you didn't report
yeah,
it, you didn't tell your his wife
yeah,
nothing, and that's your brother, bro. Like I'm like, this is weird. I'll
yeah.
never leave my brother unconscious in in
That's
a
what I'm
precarious
saying, man.
predicament.
That's wild. But that goes to show you, like, is this really what people want? And I think that's what you're seeing now. Like you said, it's that culture shift. I think people are finally just waking up to the fact, like, yo, we really don't want this.
Nah, it's not. This is not the success or not the way we want success to look.
No,
It's not
I
the
didn't
way that
sign
we
up for this.
aspire. Mm-mm. No.
I didn't sign up for this.
Mm-mm.
And I think that's really, like I said, it's unfortunate, man. And all of this stuff that we're talking about, it's all connected because it's all that thing. Like these are all people who refuse, like all these stories about making a decision to actually move forward with your life and do things that are constructive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's growing up,
Yep.
right?
Growing up.
And when you grow up, there's certain things that you got to leave behind.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, just the visibility and the relevance and the social acceptance that comes with being seen in a positive light within popular culture, right? That drives these individuals more than their own health, personal health, and well being, and even the health and well being of their family and those closest around them.
Yeah,
And that's the most unfortunate part about all this. And I
I
think
agree.
that's really what everybody needs to talk about
Mm-hmm.
is really just talk about like, hey, is these things like, yeah, this is music and stuff, and yeah, I grew up listening to this, or I really like this song, I like that, but is it really like what type of life am I living? Do I live like that every day? Like I might get online and say ratchet stuff on Facebook or on Instagram, but am I actually living like this? Do I would I like to live like this?
Yep.
And if I don't, then why am I like supporting these things
Promoting, giving
and
energy
promoting them
to,
and giving
absorbing
that?
energy
Yeah,
from. Yeah.
yeah. Like maybe, yeah. And it's just like, and I remember just like even with like with the beef and stuff, like when I know with the K Dot and the Kendrick beef, and I'm huge fans of both of them.
Hmm.
I'm huge fans of both. Anybody who knows me, I love both of them. I'm huge fans
From
of both
day
of them.
A1 from day one. Like
Day
even like
one,
with Kanye West stuff, we always like tell people about this. Like
yeah,
y'all stop acting like we
yeah,
hate. We ain't no haters. We've been there. We were number one
haters. But it's
supporters.
yeah, but when you sit back and listen, and even I noticed that like the older I got, it's just like I know just even just with them two, I just know the older I got, I just gravitated more towards what K Dot's music was about as opposed to with Drake stuff. Because it's just like okay, he just seemed like he just trying to rap young people, and it's just like
It
it
wasn't
wasn't
fitting
feeling
into
it
what
anymore.
I was
Well,
experiencing or what I wanted
right,
to
yeah,
experience.
there are stories I want to hear. You know what I mean? Things that are relevant and resonates with me. And
Uh-huh.
I think there needs to be a space, and that's why I feel so bad for people like Andre 3000 because I think unfortunately, even I think especially with him being the generation he's in,
Hmm.
too being of that older generation, he kind of gets stuck in that too, and he sees it just being the industry. Just people who are older get dissuaded from trying to bring contributions to
Because
popular
what this
culture.
we've talked about this too is because usually the youth will do what?
Yeah,
They'll eat them
just yeah,
alive. They'll
eat
chastise
alive.
it.
Yeah,
And the problem is, you can't be a. I hate people. You can't be afraid of the youth. They do. You don't need to be afraid
yeah,
of them.
yeah,
You still need to. You can't be afraid to show and give the truth and understanding when it is there. Because if not, where else are they going to get it from? Because all they're going to do is keep eating the bad food. You have to give them
yeah,
some. You have to give them an option. Like this is what I
yeah,
think a big part of what we're talking about tonight are options. That people have
yeah.
options. You can choose to do the right thing. You can have a moral understanding in the world and a moral compass that leads you from doing
Yeah.
debauchery and needing 1,000
Hmm.
bottles of lube. You don't have to
Yeah.
live like
And,
that.
and the thing is, the thing that pisses me off is it's not that you're being preachy.
No,
Like it's not that you got to go to church every Sunday. You got to read the Bible back and forth. It's not like you can't curse or have a drink every now and then. Nobody's saying any
nobody's
of that.
saying that. Yeah.
But it's like I feel like when these conversations get had, and they're had by certain people, especially. That's why I feel so bad for people like D1 and Lecrae,
Hmm.
because those people, just because of what they do, and it's sad, people are automatically gonna put them in a preachy box because of the type of content that they do.
It's still the same content. So what is it that you do? That's why I said. So you don't
Yeah,
preach. What do you preach? You preach. You preach death, but you still
yeah, to preach my
preaching.
actions
It's
every day.
trash,
Yeah, to
but you
preach
still
my actions.
preaching.
Like,
This is why I hate when people say people
yeah, actions we preach.
strippers preach. Like everybody's preaching.
Yeah,
Whatever you're out here living and doing. Right, your action. That is what your ministry is. That's what you are teaching. And Kevin, we know this. We grew up in the church. We was around the
yeah,
church for a while.
yeah,
We
yeah,
understand that there's different types of ministries, and those
yeah.
ministries are based on what it is, the action that you're doing. So you have
That's
certain types of ministries based on your action, and even and this is not trying to sound preachy, but getting religious or whatnot. But even the quote unquote the non godlike spirit vessels,
yeah.
they also preach. They
Yeah,
come
they
and
do.
talk to people. They lead them on paths based on what
Hmm.
they want them to do. This stuff is written in everybody's culture. It ain't just angels around talking to people. There's other
I
things
know.
talking to people.
I
So
know.
that's what I'm saying. People are always preaching. 3 6 Mafia be preaching. Tear the
That's
club
it.
up. Tear the club up.
Yeah,
That's what the refrain was on the chorus. Like that's what we're
yeah,
singing. It's preaching. It's all preaching. So you can miss me with that stuff when people say, "Oh, you're being preachy." I don't like how they're saying it. They're making me think about myself and what I do, and I don't want to think about the stuff I do as being bad. That's something you gotta live with. I ain't tell you to do
yeah,
that. You must be bad at it.
yeah.
You know
That's
right
it.
from wrong.
But with that said, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. And I guess, man, I'm gonna go ahead and post this so this can drop because, like I said, it's almost tomorrow. So I'm gonna drop it so make sure they can check it out tomorrow. I'm gonna cut some reels up.
Yep.
And man, this is good, man. We definitely got to at least get back doing this once a week.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
thinking Wednesday would probably be the best night.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, of course, everybody who's listening. Of course, this is just something, like I said, special side thing that we do on top of the Hilltop Glove. So Hilltop Glove is still here. So
Mm-hmm.
do our thing, and we're getting ready. As a matter of fact, we start back recording next week.
Yep.
Next Saturday, we start
Not
recording
next.
our
Yeah,
new
it's next Saturday.
episodes
My fault. I don't
next
know. I thought
Saturday.
this
Yeah.
Saturday. Yeah, next Saturday.
So it's gonna be real dope. like I said, shout out to everybody who supports us on that end. Please like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, our page, because we're going to be doing more video content like this
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. And then just supporting other stuff that we do, as well as the projects we associate with and other individuals within our community as well.
Yeah,
So we
please
want to make
support the
sure we share.
community because we got some dope people in our community that do really
Hmm.
cool, progressive things that uplift and bring enrichment to people's lives. Like, I mean, can't tell, like
Yeah,
we don't. I mean, you can tell by the way we're talking. We don't promote sludge. We aren't going to try to give you poison
yeah,
or things that would take you away
yeah.
from bettering your life. So yeah, please support those people that support us and that we try to get you to go and patronize and see. They are worth
Yeah,
it.
and all you do, all we need is a like. You just
That's it.
subscribe.
Yeah,
That's all.
man.
And you know what I
That's
need.
it.
Just tell your friends, hey man, check them out. Subscribe,
Yep.
and that's the least you can do. But
Hmm.
with that said, man, this is Skip, and
DJ and what? Arbitrary conversations. Did what do we call this? Kev?
goes Diddy done.
Diddy done. It's Diddy done.
Jail cell.
Again,
Hey,
man,
peace.
this is one way to close a generation, but it had to happen one way or the other.
Yeah, the '90s are done, man.
Yeah,
Diddy's done.
it's done.
All right, peace.
Peace.